What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Movies on Tap. Today, before we get to today's episode, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of announcements real quick regarding the channel. First off, starting next week, we're coming from a new set. Yeah, that's right, we're going to be ditching the couch, ditching the shitty background, and we're going to be coming at you from an actual set. I'm very excited to do that, so be sure to tune in next week for our next episode from the new set, and all subsequent episodes. The next announcement, I just want to say real quick, the internet is a very big place, and when I got the idea for Movies on Tap, I just wanted to do a simple movie review channel where we could just drink some beer and talk about movies that I'd liked and disliked. I researched the name, I didn't really find anything on YouTube, and that's where my mistake was from, because apparently somewhere out there in the huge universe that is the internet, there is another Movies on Tap. I believe it's a podcast or something like that, so out of respect for those guys, they didn't reach out to me or anything like that. I'm doing this on my own accord. Out of respect for those guys, I'm going to be changing the name of the channel, probably just to Movies and Beer or something simple like that. All the material is going to be the same show, same everything, except next week we'll just have a different set and a different name, so be sure to look out for that. All that being said, let's talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane. Okay, so 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's not really a sequel, it's not really a spin-off. It's been dubbed a blood relative to 2008's original Cloverfield. Now, I was very interested to see this movie because the movie wasn't even announced that it was coming out until like two months or so before its release. So, in a world where nothing's really secret anymore, like, that was very cool. I was like, dude, they've hidden this movie, it's gone under the radar, especially like a high-profile movie like Cloverfield and like a follow-up to that. Like, it was just random. So I was already kind of sold with the idea of the movie. And then the trailer started to come out, and it just looked like it was totally different. Totally different. It wasn't the found footage style. It didn't really look like a monster movie like the first one was. So I was really intrigued to see this movie. Excuse me. So the time came when the movie finally came out. I wanted to go check it out, and the movie was great. Like, it really was a good movie. John Goodman gives an excellent performance. Like, the guy is super unhinged in this movie. Like, he's creepy at times. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Gallagher Jr.'s characters are the characters who are stuck in the cellar with him. And they don't know what to believe. Like, they don't know if this dude's full of shit, if he's telling the truth. They don't know if he's crazy or what. So the movie does a really good job of building that tension between these characters, because you have no idea when John Goodman's gonna be like, a happy-go-lucky guy that he comes off as sometimes, or if he's just gonna fucking snap. So it was a really well-done movie as far as tension goes. That being said, everything leading up to the ending of the movie I really enjoyed. Like 95 to 99% of the movie I really enjoyed. Then we got to the ending. And before we talk about the ending, excuse me. I have never been more mad leaving a movie theater than I was at the end of 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, I'm a sci-fi fan. I love sci-fi movies. I love the first Cloverfield. I love Star Wars. I love Star Trek. I love all that shit. I have no problem with aliens or anything like that at all. But this movie did a very good job of being ambiguous the entire time. You have no idea what the fuck is going on. For those of you who haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, let this be a spoiler warning, because I'm going to just totally blow the fucking lid off the end of this movie. So let that be a spoiler warning for the end of 10 Cloverfield Lane, those of you who haven't seen it. The end of 10 Cloverfield Lane, Mary Elizabeth Winstead breaks out of the cellar in a homemade hazmat suit, which is actually really cool to see happen. That's not the problem I have. She gets outside and she sees birds flying around. And she's thinking like, oh, maybe the air is breathable. Maybe maybe he was full of shit. And you think that too. You're like, oh my god, John Goodman was full of shit. She's breathing, everything's fine. And then she looks out like over the distance, over like a cornfield or something. And she sees a fucking spaceship. And at that moment, I kind of looked at my girlfriend. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like this movie, like, it just went from a total fucking tension fest, like a very good, well-done movie, to just a stupid, cheesy CGI fest in, like, the snap of a finger. The fucking aliens, they looked like giant kidney beans with teeth. It was fucking terrible. Like, it was just so cheesy. Like, it's not the worst ending I've ever seen in any movie, but for this movie, I much would have preferred like a more ambiguous ending, like, you know, the rest of the movie. I much would prefer Mary Elizabeth Winstead like breaking out of the cellar, and then maybe like you hear the spaceship or something like that, and then she's just like, oh shit, and then cut to black. I much would have rather that. I mean, yeah, I would have been pissed leaving the movie theater, granted, but that ending would have been a lot better than this one. So the spaceship flies over to her, and then this giant kidney bean with teeth comes out and starts chasing her. And when you go to see the movie, tell me that doesn't look like a fucking kidney bean with teeth. Excuse me. So this thing's chasing her around. She ends up like evading it. I don't remember if she kills it or if she just runs away from it or it runs back, whatever. But then like the spaceship comes over, it's like hovering over her, and then she like builds a Molotov cocktail and throws it into like a giant space vagina on the bottom of the ship and blows up the whole fucking thing. And at this point, I'm like seething in my seat. I'm like, oh my god, you just ruined this entire fucking movie. And then she ends up escaping after blowing up the ship. She's driving, she gets like a radio signal, and then it's like, oh, for those of you out there, if you have any like combat experience or medical experience, come to Dallas. We're taking the fight to them. We're gonna beat the aliens, blah blah blah. And just in that 5 to 10 minutes alone, they just totally destroyed the entire movie for me. Like I will probably never watch it again, to be honest. Not speaking for the remaining 95% of the movie. The remaining 95% of this movie was great. I loved it. And that's probably why this ending pissed me off so much, because like you had such a good movie and then you just turned it into shit. Like it was just a silly cliche ending to a sci-fi movie. So like this movie I thought would have been like a little bit reinventive, a little more original on the a little more original of a take on the genre, and I just left disappointed. Excuse me. So that being said, after watching the entire movie, enjoying all the performances and the setup and everything to a really shitty ending, what would have been a top shelf rating for me, I have to downgrade it to a free will drinks, because even though I did absolutely despise the ending, I'll probably never watch the movie again because of this ending. I did really enjoy the rest of the movie. It was a fucking great movie. The cast did a good job. I thought it was some really great writing. It was a very original movie. It was very grounded, and it built really good tension. So, for people who aren't really easily offended by cheesy endings, I would definitely recommend go seeing the movie for yourself and judge it. I mean, even if you are, just go judge it for yourself, form your own opinion on it, and then come back, comment, let me know, tell me if I'm a dick for hating the ending, tell me if you love my opinion on it, whatever. Just let me know, whatever it is you think. I want to know about it. That, also, don't forget to subscribe, and be sure to tune in next week for a new episode. I can't really say Movies on Tap because the name's going to be changing, but tune in for No Name next week from our new set. Alright, later guys.